I'm Lottie Plale and you're watching Fuse News. Today's headlines are: Jamal Edwards, founder of SBTV, has tragically died. Spiking in clubs has a resurgence. Isolation periods for COVID-19 have been scrapped. Storms have swept the country with more to be expected. Elon Musk faced criticism for his Neurolink testing. But first, Jamal Edwards, founder of SBTV, entrepreneur and music mogul, tragically passed away on Sunday from a sudden illness at the age of 31. Jamal Edwards, founder of SBTV, entrepreneur and music mogul, tragically passed away on Sunday from a sudden illness at the age of 31. Jamal's SBTV was more than just a place for great music. It was a home for up-and-coming artists and a launchpad for some of the industry's biggest stars. Started in 2006 when Jamal was just 15 years old, the platform put the likes of Ed Sheeran, Dave and Stormzy into the spotlight. Following his death, tributes have been made from the music, political and sports worlds, with AJ Tracy writing, "R.I.P. Jamal Edwards, West London legend status," while London Mayor Sadiq Khan said that the British music and entertainment scene has lost one of its brightest stars. His mother, Brenda Edwards, singer and Loose Women presenter, has said that he was the centre of our world. Our love for him lives on, his legacy lives on. Jamal was accredited with an MBE in 2015 for his services to music and was appointed ambassador for the Prince's Trust, as well as raising awareness for mental health, funding youth centres and encouraging other young entrepreneurs. Jamal's memory will live on as an inspiration to a whole generation and as a pioneer in UK music and culture. On to our next story, the resurgence of drink spiking. Although we might not be hearing about it as frequently as we were a few months ago, spiking is still a massive problem in clubs all around the country, including Manchester. Just this week, there has been a report on the Manchester University student group of a spiking incident at Withington's local club XLR. The incident has been taken seriously, but involved a student being spiked via injection. There has also been a report this week of spiking at Mint Lounge in the Manchester's northern quarter, although we are unsure if action has been taken by the club. Police have reported increases in spiking by injection over the past 6 months, calling it a new phenomena, with over 1,400 reported cases since September time. Earlier this year, Paul Fullwood of the Security Industry Authority said, "Our evidence is that this is underreported quite significantly from what we can see." People are also raising awareness through TikTok, and this week 3 university students in Birmingham reported being spiked by injection in the city's gay village. They were left wiped out and sweating excessively. Next up is Georgina Sockett with the news on self-isolation periods. Macaque monkeys have been used in testing by Elon Musk's company Neurolink, as they have been developing Bluetooth-enabled implantable chips to be inserted into the monkeys' brains. The company says that the chips can communicate with computers via a small receiver. Neurolink has previously said that the goal of their research was to enable a person with paralysis to be able to use a device like a computer or phone using only brain activity. It has been successful to some degree. There are videos circulating of a monkey playing the game Pong with its mind, also moving a joystick and subsequently being rewarded with a fruit smoothie. However, it has been confirmed that several monkeys have died during the experiment and more have been enduring extreme suffering. In a blog post on its website, Neuralink addressed the articles that have raised questions around Neuralink's use of research animals and said that all novel medical devices and treatments must be tested in animals before they can be ethically trialled in humans.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson has recently announced that by the end of next week, people in England will no longer need to self-isolate after getting a positive result from a PCR test. It is also said from Downing Street that COVID will not suddenly disappear, and we need to learn to live with this virus and continue to protect ourselves without restricting our freedoms. According to the Prime Minister, strong protections have been built against COVID-19 over the past 2 years through vaccination programmes, tests and new treatments. So now it's time for setting out a new plan for living with COVID and scrap all the remaining COVID-19 restrictions. Local councils will have to make contingency plans for COVID outbreaks, as said by Europe Minister James Cleverly. He has also said that Omicron is much more similar to other diseases for which there are already plans. However, Dr. David Nabarro, the World Health Organization's special envoy on COVID-19, doesn't support this new move. According to him, as we all know that COVID-19 is not good for people, it would be unwise to treat it as a harmless virus. Matthew Taylor, Chief Executive of NHS Confederation, also agreed it was too early to end the mandatory testing. Here is Holly, an immunocompromised student, talking about the impact this might have.
I think by scrapping the isolation period for anyone that tests positive with COVID is actually really detrimental to people like me who are not only high risk because of COVID but are so prone to getting other illnesses as well. And I think that, especially because I commute, being on a train, being in close quarters with people in uni is just, it's just making things harder and making the prospects of getting COVID even higher. I mean, I've already had it twice, and if I was to get it a third time, a fourth time, it would really, really interrupt my academic life, work and leisure life altogether, because having to have time off because you're sick and various other things is just, it affects your income, it affects your personal life, and it's just not good for your well-being in general.
This week, Storm Eunice has been battering the whole of the UK, particularly the southwest and parts of Wales. Greater Manchester has also been affected, with an amber weather warning issued this past week. There have been reports of flooding in Didsbury and damage to cars and houses from fallen trees around the Fallowfield area. An amber warning from the Met Office means there is a good chance that flying debris could result in a danger to life. Damage to buildings and homes is likely, with roofs blown off and power lines brought down. Roads, bridges and railway lines are likely to close, with delays and cancellations to bus, train, ferry services and flights. The chair of the Greater Manchester Resilience Forum said, "I'm confident that together we are all well prepared and have the people and resources in place that we may need, and a strong plan to respond to incidents if we need to. We've learnt from previous bad weather events, including Storm Dudley last week, and are well placed to handle any arising problems." Despite this, there were still cases across the UK of damage to buildings, such as the roof of the O2 Arena in London blowing off. Despite the terrible weather that occurred at the weekend, which caused flooding and train cancellations in Manchester, nothing can deter the people of Manchester from a good night out. Liam Owen on Twitter said, "Grown men being blown to the ground in London, and I can guarantee Manchester girls will still go out without a coat tonight."
Macaque monkeys have been used in testing by Elon Musk's company Neurolink, as they have been developing Bluetooth-enabled implantable chips to be inserted into the monkeys' brains. The company says that the chips can communicate with computers via a small receiver. Neurolink has previously said that the goal of their research was to enable a person with paralysis to be able to use a device like a computer or phone using only brain activity. It has been successful to some degree. There are videos circulating of a monkey playing the game Pong with its mind, also moving a joystick and subsequently being rewarded with a fruit smoothie. However, it has been confirmed that several monkeys have died during the experiment and more have been enduring extreme suffering. In a blog post on its website, Neuralink addressed the articles that have raised questions around Neuralink's use of research animals and said that all novel medical devices and treatments must be tested in animals before they can be ethically trialled in humans. The statement by Neuralink comes after the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, a US non-profit organization that advocates alternatives to animal testing, sent a letter to the US Department of Agriculture referencing violations and requesting an investigation into what it called apparent violations of the Animal Welfare Act related to the treatment of monkeys used in invasive brain experiments. In the lawsuit, the committee alleges that staff at the university removed pieces of the skulls of rhesus macaque monkeys and inserted electrodes into the animals' brains. And the lawsuit alleges that the monkeys were not provided with adequate veterinary care and that an unapproved substance, known as bioglue, killed monkeys by destroying portions of their brains. In response to Neurolink's blog, they said that 2 monkeys were euthanized for the collection of data and 6 were euthanized on advice of medical staff. It hit back at the company, saying that they will never be satisfied with animal testing standards, especially as these monkeys are contributing so much to humanity.
In breaking news, it has now been confirmed that Russia has launched an offensive attack on Ukraine. Videos of airstrikes destroying 74 airfields and military targets have surfaced online, despite Putin's previous claims that any action in Ukraine would be defensive. Antonov Airport, just 25 kilometers from Kyiv, has been captured by Russian troops, dashing Ukrainians' hopes of leaving the country. Martial law has been imposed on the country, with petrol being rationed to 20 litres per person, with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky pleading for peace. There are instead reports of Russia's preparation of a mobile crematorium. Boris Johnson has promised action will be taken in an address to the nation, saying President Putin has chosen a path of bloodshed and destruction. That's all from us today. I've been Georgina Sockett, and you've been watching Fuse News. Tune in next week for the headlines.